Northern Quebec, October 1970.
Carl Faubert sought information.
1970, best year.
That is to say that ever since he returned from Korea, after having served with the armed forces, he had been working as a private investigator in Montreal. William Hamilton, a rich industrialist, had gotten in touch with him regarding a simple vandalism issue. Nothing to write home about. Not worth hiring a private eye either, just so he can drive for hours on rough roads. But that's how it had always been. The client pays, Carl gets it done.
Oh, you're driving a little truck. Oh, holy shit, though.
They had set up to meet at the general store, his client's business. Well, actually, the entire village had William Hamilton's name written all over it. Were bad, muddy, or snowed in, it was customary around these parts to close them off. But it was also customary to ignore those signs entirely and drive there anyway.
Can I do something about the... Order maybe? There we go, an empty bottle. Woohoo! How often does a road need to be closed to require 2 picnic tables at its gate?
Hamilton never mentioned a road blocking barrier. Why was it needed here in the back of Beyond? That would, however, be a mystery for another day. Carl had waited long enough for someone to come and raise it. Still not a soul in sight. There was no point in waiting any longer. Carl had to figure this one out by himself.
Understand, it will be good. Flyer, Northern Quebec and its inexhaustible resources. The province of Quebec sits on an inexhaustible abundance of natural resources. Why not take advantage of this? For valuable minerals could travel the world and reach places as far as Dallas, USA. Get involved and invest now. Quebec's economic might will be awake. The heart of the wilderness. The north is swarming with wolves, caribous, bears, partridges, foxes, snowy owls, and hordes of other majestic creatures that are every bit of equals of Africa's wildlife. We are the Africa of America. Come discover the north and experience the genuine white jungle. County of Manistani's people wish to see you very soon. Okay.
Hamilton no doubt knew who managed the barrier. Carl wanted to give him a call, but that would have been too easy though, as sure enough the line was acting up.
Anything else? Bolt carriers. Come on, you can do it. How convenient. Fire starter. Oh, let's play some Prodigy. Fire starter.
Emperor Duplessis, in spite of his conservative agenda, did a good job in colonizing the rural north, which helped to re-establish the region as an integral part of the province of Quebec. The blue fleur-de-lis could be seen fluttering in the wind here and there, taunting the red Canadian flags on the other side of the province's boundaries. Carl was meeting his client in a store near this area. He was on the right track.
How the heck do you pronounce that one? Luck a Tanya Pete.
Hamilton is waiting for Carl in the general store. It was time for him to get down to business.
Getting down into business.
To clear his conscience, a $10 bill. Carl was an honest man.
Okay. There's nothing else here, right? It was just a flyer. If someone won't do anything with it. That table. Was in the garbage. No.
William Hamilton enjoyed a lavish country house built in the very heart of the northern forests, not too far from here. The local populace was divided when it came to the affluent men. Some saw a wealthy philanthropist dedicated to improving the region's economy. Others an aging Englishman who would do anything to further his fortunes. And those ones hated him enough to go on about scheming against him. Hamilton had recently acquired a few local businesses, but the last straw was the reopening of a mine, which gave rise to a wave of protests and threats from the Cree people. Given these circumstances, Carl reckoned that a good number of people must be feeling compelled to oppose Hamilton in one way or another. So far, only the industrialist's house had been a target, but soon enough, Carl thought, the target.
Oh, what the? Okay. A few hours later. Them Canadians can't drive.
Carl needed to get out of there. The cold and the pain required urgent care.
Oh, we need warmth, huh? Yeah, see, Canadians just can't drive.
Scratches did not stop Carl. His mother would be so proud. Even better than he had hoped. Carl Faubert had succeeded once more and was now on his way to new adventures.
So, you don't have any wood.
Carl wondered how long he would have to endure this skin-stinging cold.
I guess on some wood. Why not? I saw a log out there, but I guess that was not. And of course, nothing up here. That was, yeah, it's too obvious, okay? Wore my tush crotch. So how many do we have? Okay, so we are down Menacing Sud. So we should go. That's a long way to run though in this weather. Okay, but
ever diligent in his work, always carried his log on him, in which he scribbled down thoughts and leads alike during the course of his investigations.
wish I can see if we missed something in the car. Yeah. Didn't think of looking around in the car. I don't know if I can go back and do that. Run. Heal his wounds. I wonder if I need to start the fire out here too. Or if that was just a waste. It might have been a waste. But okay, that's just the camera, flashlight, journal. Consumable. Take a rest. I'm just wondering, it talks about me I need to heal my wounds, it said, but it's like no healing item here. So that's why I was wondering if I need to start something here and something will melt. And, so we need a med kit or something, you know. Oh, the other car. Check that one. Duh.
The driver had taken off. It was still best to check it out and leave nothing to chance. Carl needed help.
They had a med kit.
It was a small, locked box engraved with the letters WH. Carl thought about taking it. Nothing was to be left to chance.
Hey, baby!
Such heart-wrenching Nordic poetry that was. But Carl didn't care much about flowery language.
It's about you gave meaning to everything. When you disappeared, so did purity. I would defend purity against the winds, the tides, against ice and blizzard. Okay, so let's go back and heal. Taking a log. consumable. Okay. Oh, wait. Visibility 0. Ground boiling when it snows, it's horrible, man.
Spread out on a few acres of untouched forest, bellowing caribou, everlasting snow, and undefiled lakes, the Manistan region was no tourist hub. It was said to have been populated for millennia by Cree people, and ever since the industrial era, by the metal mining industry.
Up here. Nice loading screen. A loading time there. Roy's house.
Carl's military training had made him a very punctual man. Being late to his meeting with Hamilton was out of the question.
Oh, okay, so I have to drive there first. This is not what you do while you're driving, okay, kids? Oops.
The truck was running on fumes. Good thing that the general store was close by.
It's driving by itself. Reach general store, huh? Okay.
Something fell at the bottom of the blocks. A milkman had to drive by every week to fill the bottle. The fresh milk indicated a recent visit. Carl had no trouble recognizing his employer. He had been killed. There was no need to be a detective to figure that out. But only a detective could have noticed that the killer had to have been very close, that the fatal blow had been given before the victim even realized.
Smile! Party pooper.
What could be inside that envelope? Carl was taken aback. He knew this address. It was said to be the address of the P.O. box for the Canadian Secret Service.
It's John Wong. Okay. John Wong, Montreal.
Carl felt a chill down his spine and had a terrifying realization. If Hamilton was dead, then who was going to pay him?
This is a mess. Not in the mood to drink maple syrup. What? Not in the mood to drink maple syrup? Well, this person is definitely not a Canadian. Mysterious, unbranded cans. He doesn't like some.
An explosion suddenly occurred outside.
No thanks, I prefer my beer cold.
According to that log, it seemed like the whole village owed some money to the general store. Carl was far more interested in the bunch of nearby addresses he had just gotten his hands on, though. Knew that Gilles Lachance was in charge of the general store. That made him one of Hamilton's employees. A very angry employee, as Carl could plainly see.
Hello, Ali. How you doing? You know what, Hamilton? I have a frog in my throat. When people have a frog in the throat, they do not take risks by going to work. Customers could catch it, right? A wise man. Not to worry, I'll have a nice doctor's note which I'm going out to get right now. So in the meantime, I will have to close down the shop unless you would like to come and fill in for me. I wouldn't dare advise you. After all, you must know how it's done since it's yours now. With kind regards to dedicated manager Jill.
The snowstorm pummeled everything in its path. Carl was not surprised when he heard no tone.
Nice crunches. No thanks, I ate too many of these in Korea. Beef jerky. Yeah, and the store also serves as a post office for the local. Secretary wouldn't be luxury in here. Cash service instructions opening print per sale, 2022.
explained that the garage and the store couldn't be supplied with electricity at the same time. Maintaining his composure, Carl recalled something from his military training. Wolves always stay away from populated areas. Wait, was it about bears? Carl was no electrician, but he could identify a wiring problem when he saw one. The Polaroid, Carl's long-standing and faithful ally, had seen its share of husbands caught red-handed cheating. There's always something out there waiting to be snapped away. Carl felt that the store and its surroundings still held their secrets, and he didn't like to miss out.
No wolf could have done that. What the?
Carl wondered what the hell could that thing be. It looked like a man
Oh, that
fossilized.
sound.
All of a sudden, Carl felt like he was pulled inside a world of dreams, a cold, unknown dimension. Somehow, self-control was slipping from his grasp. To all appearances, this was a hunting log. Better yet, a war diary.
Mysterious Journal, page 1. The beast enjoys long slumbers. His sanctuary seems impregnable. Ice is everywhere. Need to exercise patience and wait for it to come out to think like a hunter. The beast often invades the settlements bordering the lake. It terrorizes the white people that never see it coming. But they feel its presence, a cold dread grabbing at your innards. The beast excites the wolves, makes them more aggressive. One attacked me. I had to cut its throat. The blade digging into its flesh made the sound of a taut wire. The beast is getting closer to the villagers. It moves at night, bringing heavy snow and strong gust of wind along with it. I tracked it, to no avail. I do not know the white man frozen in ice, but I do know this. It is the work of the beast. Its attacks curdle the blood of its victims. White men know nothing of this force of nature. Touch the ice imprisoning the white man. I saw things, but I do not understand them. It was as if past and present were one, or as if I was a spider and, with my eyes, I could see backward and forward simultaneously. This beast, this creature, is not of this world. I must find the beast again, and if necessary, eliminate it.
What could eggs these engraved numbers mean. A fresh path suddenly appeared before Carl.
Hmm. Seven, 3, 9, huh?
Carl had that feeling you get when you immerse your frozen hands in hot water. What happened? Now at least he knew who the unfortunate man petrified in ice was. Gilles Lachance, the general store's manager himself. That had to be the worst parking job ever. Who was Carl to judge, though? It may be customary to park like that around these parts. Or not. Surrender their divine nectar so easily. In all likelihood, they had to be switched on from inside the store. The murder weapon. What was that doing there, Carl wondered. Hamilton must have been determined to keep some information secret to post this key. Shame he got unlucky. Everything made sense now. Poor Hamilton's denunciation was interrupted, and he figured it would be best to lock everything up and send the key to his correspondent, who would receive the box later on. Clever, but not enough. That's what happens to ordinary people playing spy.
It is a citizen of Her Majesty in the free economic chambers of the world that I must address what follows to the proper authorities. The worst is happening at this very moment. I cannot...
Carl wondered how long he would have to endure this skin-stinging cold.
Worst is happening at this very moment. I cannot write at length, but I'm requesting immediate help from my country. I believe the free world is in grave danger. A member of my community, honorable... And then he got interrupted. So... Broken clock, no convenient. Somehow I need to find...
A radiator without power is as good as a wood stove without logs. Carl was no electrician, but he could identify a wiring problem when he saw one.
Let me know you're nothing more than a...
Hate was in the air. Seems like some villagers barely tolerated each other.
Spot in the area. At least we know it's fragile.
The crowbar was stuck under the lift. Notwithstanding Carl's imposing stature, car lifting wasn't part of his skill set yet.
Oh, come on. Okay, so I can't turn on this one at all. The store? Okay, so I need to fix this. Need some. So okay, so we are warm now. I need to lift this up somehow.
The crowbar was within Carl's grasp. Surely it would come in handy at some point.
Now we need to put the power back on into the shop and activate the gas pump. Now we go back into the store. Close the garage and turn on the stove. So I'm wondering, can we go back to these now, or...
Carl knew straight away where to find the aviated Gilles Lachance. Any good investigation would have to start there.
I can't check the other stuff. It's in the creeper of attacking his estates. Seven, 3, 9. So we need to go and that means we need to go to the doctor's house, right? Assume we need to drive up there to the left then. Just wonder if that is what we need to do. The thing is, the doctor we need to see or find. Or should we go back and check these places out that we have? Let's go back and see if we can check the houses that we passed.
Carl was beginning to know the store and its surroundings like the back of his hand. The secret had sought.
Backwards and see if we can check out these before we move on forward, because I doubt we're gonna come back this way. Maybe we are. Let's see. Yep, so there should be a house on the left side here too. Then we have the two on the right side. Okay, so let's go in here and see what place this is. See if we can explore here anything or not.
It was so cold. Already Carl did not feel his toes anymore.
My toes. I have two legs on it.
The air was freezing, right down to the bone. That window had seemingly been left open for a while, Carl thought. Given the punishing weather, it couldn't have been intentional.
Yeah, I'm gonna just think about Prodigy song Firestart every time I see these islands.
Looks like the holes in that puzzle are there to stay. The pot was cold, and the stew inside wasn't cooked. It's likely that poor Giselle was slow cooking it before she got snapped. What a waste.
Here? Huh? Hey, we get a steak. We just need some beer. I've yet to find a clock that works.
The otherworldly ice had struck again. The woman's hopes and dreams were frozen in eternity. Felt a cool, tingling sensation in his back. Another vision took over him. Something was hidden under the stairs. The man grabbed his rifle. Carl felt a sense of dread in him.
Capture on the Chance, 1948.
Perhaps their spousal relationship had been cooling down lately. It seemed like secrecy was commonplace in this house.
Heck? More secrets?
The vision's veil was lifted, and he was back to reality. A reality in which Giselle, Gilles' loving spouse, was motionless, frozen in ice.
So you have a certain amount of time to be in this area, it seems like. Giselle's diary, page 1, September. Mother once told me when I first met Gilles that I hadn't picked the brightest bulb of them up. And as the years flew by, I've seen the truth of her words. Always trust your mother's wisdom. The blackmailing scheme is a prime example of Gilles' brightness. He's like a small dog. He thinks he's bigger than he actually is. He growls, generally thinking he's scary. But everyone knows he can be pushed aside with just a little kick. He truly believes he can blackmail Hamilton, the big boss himself. It's going to be a long time in hell before my poor Gilles can manage to pull off such a feat. After all, Hamilton's a rich, learned, and influential man. Not only is the blackmailing idea bad to begin with, let's be honest, Gilles is way out of his league. But Gilles doesn't even know how he's actually going to carry this out. I don't even know he ever would. He's just throwing random threats out loud in the kitchen. He says he'll do it eventually, but I know better. Successful blackmailing requires masterful cunning, and Gilles is master of nothing. He is a slave and forever will be. I often look at that safe he keeps hidden in the fake wall, which stores all these incriminating documents he intends to use, and I just can't come to grips with the sheer ridiculousness of the whole thing. It is true that Hamilton would still have to figure out the combination of the safe where everything is hidden. Only problem is, Gilles himself tends to forget the combination. He has a trick to help him remember. His father's first initial, followed by 3 numbers I had to engrave behind his pendant. Oh, that's what the pendant he had. 739. Who could possibly have a hard time remembering 3 simple numbers but my Gilles? Gilles had trouble sleeping. He will flail his arms and legs in his sleep. All of his blackmail business will be hard on him. That's the problem with idiots. They always think they are the smartest person around, no matter how hard you try to shake them. Hamilton will find out, and then we're done for. We'll have to move to Val d'Or and live with the small fry. I'm shaking as I'm writing this. I cannot believe I have taken part in this tragedy. I haven't done anything. Why do I feel so guilty? Poor girl. She was so young. Need a plumber. Oh, that's a nice one. Looks like they were painting the whole house. Unpacked boxes suggest he hasn't moved here. Orgasm. Soft toilet paper, huh? Yeah, it's important.
That window had seemingly been left open for a while, Carl thought. Given the punishing weather, it couldn't have been intentional.
So B739 then?
Moving. What a pleasant activity. Of course, you'll find the record player only to find the records weeks later in some random box.
So his first initial, so B? Okay.
Carl had seen that kind of safe before. With its double-layered security system blending letters and numbers, its code couldn't be broken by the common burglar.
Oh yeah. Compromising document. William Hamilton is a crook. He has been blackmailing everyone in the village, myself included, like the infamous Seraphine Poudriere. This document is proof of every bribe paid by Hamilton to the federal authorities in regard to the acquisition of his damn mine. The fact that he used his henchmen to instill terror within the village will not sway the tribunals down in Montreal, but the fact that he has been bribing government officials surely will. You can already picture it making the front page. The English are all the same. We will prevail. Written with different ink. Hamilton is not only a crook but a murderer. I do not believe in his remorse. I firmly believe he will pay for his crime. I do not believe in native magic, but I do believe in their vengeance.
The general store, along with several more infrastructures in the area, had been acquired by wealthy industrialist William J. Hamilton. Perhaps the village should be rechristened Hamiltown.
Chez Lachance changes hands. Founded by Bertrand Lachance more than 20 years ago, the general store, better known as Chez Lachance, is one of Manhatan's economic mainstays. As a pass from its age owner, however, business wasn't as blooming as it once was. Gilles Lachance, inheritor of the humble establishment, had no choice but to sell everything to William Hamilton, the rich and famous businessman who sparked a major controversy last year when he announced the reopening and expansion of its copper mine. As of now, operations at the general store are expected to remain unchanged despite the change of hands. Gilles Lachance still helms the register.
Clearly, there was some major revamping work underway here. The place looked barely habitable. Beautiful portrait of Gilles and Giselle, bound together by the chains of conventional love.
Cigarettes.
The cross looked after a marriage's well-being and served as a motivator to uphold the priest's sermons calling for more little worshippers on one hand and cautioning against guilty pleasures on the other. Indeed, the Lachances were still part of the God-fearing generation.
Yeah, I think we are done here. To the next two houses.
True Catholic always strives to keep lowly temptations at bay. Obviously, Carl thought, someone in this house wasn't doing a good job at upholding the Holy Bible's teachings.
Someone had to hide their habits.
What was even the point of locking your door if everyone hid their key in the same place? Carl was starting to feel like his investigator life lacked challenge. The house smelled like incense, the kind that reminds you of the good Lord, of peace.
How do we change some cracks?
Religion was very influential throughout Quebec many years ago. Indeed, it was surprising that Carl did not come across a single chapel since arriving here.
How did they draw the sun? TV's on the other side.
Good Paul VI, appearing papal. His crooked fingers gave the impression he was about to bestow a miracle.
Attach wire.
perfect cookie-cutter Catholic family, most likely attending church every Sunday. The family's mother must have spent her days washing the filth off her kids' diapers. The empty cradle sent an eerie feeling down Carl's spine, as if minutes ago someone just grabbed the baby and made a run for it. Who knew that giraffes thrived in the North Pole? The craze for toys was stupefying. The empty cradle sent an eerie feeling down Carl's spine, as if minutes ago someone just grabbed the baby and made a run for it. Jean-Luc Bédard had without a doubt been the closest man in the village to William Hamilton, otherwise known as Uncle Willie.
Marie's diary, page 1, August 16th. I have a diary, just like Mom. Unlike her, though, I don't wear a long face when writing, but I do love to write my thoughts. About Martin, most of all, I love talking about him. I think he loves me too. Just like in Romeo and Juliet, people don't like it when I see him, only because he's a blaze. But just like in the story, nothing can stand in the way of true love. August 18th, I lost appetite, I can't sleep anymore, every waking hour, intense shivers run through my body. That's making me see Dr. Bopure? With his big hands touching me everywhere, his foul breath exhaling all over my face. Yuck! I'm not sick, I'm in love. I love Martin so much. There's nothing I like better than thinking about us playing together like we always do. I wonder if he found the key I lost the other day. He was pretty sad when I did, because it's for his dad's garden shed. And Martin has always been afraid of him. I think Martin's dad is a bit like Dad's god. The key fell in a burrow next to the shed. Poor Martin, he cried like a baby, but I still love him. Page 2, August 24th. Mom often cries when she feels lonely. I think there's no reason for her to cry. Mom can be stupid sometimes. Dad works a lot because of that wealthy Englishman buying everything. That's what notaries do. They make sure that people get what they're paying for, basically. Complicated, but that's how Dad explained it to me. Rich guy doesn't look half as bad as Martin told me he was. When I saw him this morning at Dad's office, he told me, call me Uncle Willie. Found that pretty funny, plus he gave me candy. Okay, it was kind of old and dry, but still candy. I think Dad gets along well with Uncle Willie, because when he's with him, he laughs the same way he does with Father Label. September 22nd, I had to gobble up Dr. Dupre's horrible medicine, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have made it to Christmas, or so he said. I haven't seen Martin in weeks, nor did I go to school for that matter. Dad has been praying beside my bed every morning for a while now, and at bedtime too. Today he went hunting with Uncle Willie, and he told me to ask God to bless him in my prayers. Page 3. I think this has to do with the medicine that only the richest of rich can afford. Dad told me he will be praying for Uncle Willie until the day he dies, and that I should do the same. God, Father Label, and now Uncle Willie. I wonder when Dad finds the time to pray for Santa Claus. December 28th. How can Mom be so stupid? She's getting fat too. Cries like a newborn puppy all the time. So annoying. I came across Martin today. He seemed pretty thin, maybe kind of dirty. He doesn't look as neat and presentable as Uncle Willie, that's for sure. Works of art from a future artist. Oh, another diary.
The Bedards had vacated the premises. Carl gathered they would be of no help.
Here's diary, page 1, August 14, 1970. Jean-Luc Picard? No, Jean-Luc never had a knack for mathematics. Try as he might, he will never realize that he simply cannot be the father of the child I'm bearing. But how can I be sure? I have to keep this a secret, at least until the time is right, when it will be safe. August 16th, Dr. Dupré told me it would start showing soon, that I couldn't keep it hidden forever. But I muster courage, he said, with his usual condescending tone. Courage to face what's coming, but he doesn't get it at all. For him, I just had some childish affair. Doesn't realize I brought eternal damnation upon myself. September 14th, Marie is very sick and Jean-Luc plunges into despair. I told him nothing about the evil growing inside me. Sometimes I get the feeling he can see it right through me. My Marie is suffering and I'm one to blame. Oh Lord Almighty, why do children have to pay for their parents' sin? Hello, Diggy. Are you melting away? Page 2, September 24th. Marie has recovered, but there's something really gloomy about her now. She always seems so sad. Maybe she's caught a glimpse of what dying is like. What if she's an unhappy child now because of me? Jean-Luc Picard truly honored me 2 nights ago. If the baby makes it, maybe Dr. Beaupré could convince him it was born prematurely. My only way out. Yeah, I heard that you guys having, it's really hot down there for some reason. For several days now. Started early today, about an hour and 20 minutes ago. Ali. October 11th. We're heading to Lac Saint Jean tomorrow to visit Jean-Luc's mother. I need to. The situation is untenable now. We fear the worst. I would live under the cold shower on that heat. Yeah, that's the last page.
Dreamcatchers originated from First Nations legends. They were used to trap nightmares.
Check this one. Need some wire. Need to be able to get the key. Do a quick check in here again. Got a hammer. Can fill that one up at the store, maybe. Okay, we need to come back to this place. When we have a wire. As we made a treasure hunt begin, I've hidden wonderful little things for you to find all over the village. Following my clues, you're holding in your hands the first map. The hunt begins at my place. You're so clever, I'm certain you will find everything. Martin. I have to remember to go and check the other mailbox over there. Let me drive by it. Dun, 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 dun. We have the first house to check here. Dun, 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 dun. Letter for Wilfred, dear Mr. Roy, I'm writing this because I feel guilty. The other day Martin and I were taking a stone not too far from your house and we saw the door to your shed was open. He wanted us to mind our own business, but Martin likes living on the edge. He took a few shiny things, including some bullets. Now my dad always told me never to play with those things, so I immediately put them back. But Martin hid the other things. I confess, Mr. Roy, I have so many regrets, but you mustn't call the police. You won't call them, will you? My father will be so angry. Bring back all of your things, I promise. Marie Bedard. Okay, so this, for this place we're gonna need that magnet thing. We need a wire though somewhere first. Stop. Holy crap, it takes forever to stop. Hey, doggy. No, doggy. Not from June Roy. We fled, it was getting too dangerous. More people living north of Afghanistan. If we were safe.
Carl wondered how long he would have to endure this skin-stinging cold. It was a classic Canadian house, except for the absent horde of kids that would normally be swarming about.
Let's see. Fantasy? Oh my god, what the heck? Mathieu had yet to add murder to his curriculum. He was fond of new experiences, especially the most thrilling ones. Taking the life of a flesh and bone individual who the night before was still able to think, dream, fantasize, calculate, read, held a promise of exhilarating sensations. Unlike Raskolnikov, it wasn't about axing an old Jewish hack to pieces to test some lunatic theory. Not at all. Matthew just wanted to know how it felt. It seemed so simple. Horribly simple. Didn't have any particular victim in mind, like most people. His desires ran quite wildly, so he only had a vague idea of them in mind. Upon using a rifle or a knife, assassinating a young girl or an old man. Tried to focus on practicability. His victim would have to be defenseless. Bodybuilding wasn't exactly Matteo's strong suit. He had to act spontaneously, but not too much. He wasn't that eager to learn what spending the rest of his life in prison would be like. Some experience he carried just too high a cost to be worth it, really. Okay. It's also some kind of fantasy to have. Getting damaged by this game, Diggy. Every time I see this fire starter I'm picking up, I just think about the music by Prodigy. Damaged. It's a good song. Matches. Two water balls now. Oops. Take some cola, ketchup. Ew. Nasty. Orange juice.
The couple radiated something akin to lightheartedness, to freedom. Perhaps some people out there truly found a way to live happily ever after. A picture of Wilfred in his youth. Carl figured right away that the man must have been some kind of wildlife officer.
Oh god, a fantasy page 2 now too. It was around that time that Mathieu met Beatrice. Mediocre beauty at best, a girl with her distinctive features. Cheeks covered with large pox-like freckles, Jew nose, oily forehead, tied by vibrant eyes, shaded red hair, slender as a child body, chirpy laugh. You name it, it was the very image of innocence. That happened to be precisely the kind of victim Mathieu was picturing in his mind, though. One night, as he was contemplating the ceiling from his bed, he swore to himself again and again, "I'll kill her." His dreams were later filled with the images of the imminent crime. He had come up with a simple enough plan. One fine evening he would visit her place to become familiar with the area's intricacies and feel closer to the impending murder. Slowly dig into Beatrice's thoughts, desires, dreams, and abilities. This way, he would be able to get a concrete sense of what his sinister deed would be stripping away from the very fabric of life. The whole thing would take 2 days, a week at most. This guy is damn psycho. There's a lot of cigarettes in this one, man. Monopoly. You win if you pass go. And have it named Monopoly, huh? Hey, ammo.
Not a single weapon was left. All of them were gone. Where hit this page 3 at then? I'm jumping from 1, 2 to 4. Two lovebirds were still going at it 7 months later, though, fighting fears and desires alike near the fireplace several days a week. Populace took notice, and wounded words eventually found their way to Matteo's ear, prompting him to take action to prove his gentlemanship. He had to ask Beatrice's hand in marriage. He would have more than enough time to kill her later. Today, when Matteo stares at the motionless ceiling just like he did 20 years ago, he still wonders what he would be removing from existence by slitting Beatrice's throat, what he would be depriving his children of. Then, as if soothed by his fancy, he gently drifts off, smiling the night away. Okay. So, is this page 3 then? Yep. Weird that page 4 lays over there before page 3. Because then you will read it in the wrong order, really. Since you pick up 4 before 3. First time he met Beatrice, however, she unexpectedly revealed her troubled origins to Matteo. She was adopted at the age of 4, and recalling her former life still gave her a hard time. She played the piano in so graceful a manner that people often thought she may be a natural offspring of her musical virtuoso. She always cried before falling asleep, torn from the inside by dreadful pain she couldn't explain. She confided to him so profoundly that Matteo couldn't get enough. Coming back every night to learn every single thing of what would come out of that delicate mouth after pulling one last breath out of it. Every night he reflected on what the death of Beatrice would mean in terms of losses to humanity's common heritage. Be it the sound of her sobbing or of her piano melodies, the compulsive tapping of her long index finger on her temple when she harbored dark thoughts, or any other little thing. It didn't matter. Everything would indiscriminately vanish. Everything. All these thoughts made for some blissful slumbers indeed. And then days became weeks, and before he knew it, it was Matthias's turn to throw his secrets at her. His hopes, his cries of despair, as if throwing coins in a wishing well. He'd be dead by the end of the month, he promised himself. Obviously she wasn't. The photograph was snapped not too far from here, Carl noticed. The couple seemed to be very good friends. Just one more move and White is checkmated. Game over. It seems the game was abandoned right before the final strike came down.
Game over, man. Game over. Do. Oh, let's see what we can do in here. See something over there. I'm not wondering if it's a bad idea. It was a bad idea. Oops. I do have a gun. I thought we picked up a revolver. Let's see. Nope. Oh, there was only one bullet? The heck, and it didn't do anything either. That was some bullshit, man. Let's see if there's for jails to jail solutions in South Maniston. There is solutions. We are carefully taking note of your complaint regarding the collapse of a natural cave on your property. However, given the absence of any actual damage or injury, we cannot move forward with this investigation. Natural cave cannot be considered a personal belonging. Furthermore, your claims regarding landslides caused by work in the new W mine seems outlandish, as the mine is miles away from your property. Also, it's imperative that you secure your property, as you will be held accountable for any injuries caused by steep terrain. This is where Brian Wolf leads you.
was so cold. Already Carl did not feel his toes anymore.
You can do... I was thinking you could fill up that... oh, there's no point having it on. Yeah, let's see where we're gonna drive to now then. Drive to the left then. Oops. Says 10, car goes 20, well 25, but there's nothing I can do, I can't go slower. Yeah, I like the radio music. Let's have 2.
There should be a law forbidding doctors from falling sick.
Medical emergency in town, the doctor there is sick, I'll be back soon. If he dies, I won't be returning, I have to replace him.
In spite of Dr. Beaupre's goodwill, the place didn't look much like a physician's office. It could easily be mistaken for a sewing shop.
Isabelle du Coupon. Locking a door isn't enough. Another one attached wire.
For of a one-eyed or for other vision problems, the eye patch was the way to go. Got the trembles as he imagined the excruciating pain that kind of scalpel could no doubt inflict. Within these miserable walls,
nightmare.
patients probably felt more like in a slaughterhouse than in a doctor's office.
Doesn't like the scale, huh? Doctor is apparently fascinated by history. Perhaps doesn't look this big from here. Store in a cool, dry place with a constant temperature, they said.
A chamber pot. Fortunately for Carl, inspecting it wouldn't further this particular investigation.
Communist manifesto.
A communist manifesto. Only a few years ago, this type of allegiance meant prison time. And even at present, the Western world was very wary of the Soviet threat. Why would the doctor own such a book?
History of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles, freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and journeyman. In a word, oppressor and oppressed stood in a constant opposition to one another, carried on an uninterrupted, no hidden, no open fight, a fight each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstruction of society at large or in common ruin of the contending classes. The earlier epochs of history we find almost everywhere complicated arrangements of society into various orders, manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome we have patricians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages you have lords, vassals, guildmasters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs. In almost all of these classes, again, subordinate gradation. And now woman. I never did quite catch her name. The men called her Laura. She had a neck wound. There was so much blood. The bull had done a lot of damage, probably hitting the cerebellum. It was hopeless. She had a cardiac arrest. The men had found her like this, they said. I doubt it, but in a small town like this, it's usually best to turn a blind eye. Been told to step back from sending out death certificate. The whole thing sickens me. Rosary Armand. No medical explanation whatsoever can explain why old Rosary is still alive. As we in the trade say, the only way to cure him is to kill him. Louis Bedard. All of her symptoms point to the same root cause. She's pregnant. She refuses it. She denies it. And willing to bet her husband is not the father. Let's just hope it's not Everett Lockhart, though. Or she would have an illegitimate child and syphilis on her hands. William Joseph.
There was no doubt that the doctor and Hamilton knew each other very well.
40. Can't be cured. Chronic foot pain, can't walk long distances. Rich, I'll cure him of that one day.
Doctors used light-reflecting frontal mirrors to look inside the patient's cavities. That was a bit unsettling, but back then, it was pretty much always the case with medicine. The good doctor, flanked by his beautiful spouse. Pure happiness, captured on cardstock. Carl recognized this woman's soulful eyes, Was it Dr. Beaupre who had hit him head-on at the village border? Nobody kills a rich patient to start a revolution. It didn't make any sense. He had to dig deeper still to understand. Luckily, that was Carl Faubert's specialty. Someone had lost a few liters of blood here. Carl's first thought had been a lumber accident, someone's hand cut by a saw, or a hunting accident. In any case, whoever had lost all this blood couldn't have gone far. Perhaps they were already dead. Dr. Beaupre had done his medical studies quite far from here. He was surely one of the first students out of the new campus to settle on the mountainside.
It also requires a wire then. Felt like he knew the doctor now. His belongings had spoken lengths about him. But what Carl had heard worried him. Okay, so we have 3 more places here, huh? Here. What the?
Oh, mon bonhomme! Je fais là, l'étrange. Je m'attendais pas à ce qu'un étrange retentisse par ici. Moi te dire, je prends plus de chance depuis que ça rôde dans ce bout-là. J'ai ma carabine au bout du doigt, et puis bang, 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 si ça s'approche.
Okay, buddy. Been sipping out of the bottle a little much. Just gonna go through your stuff, okay?
C'est encore beau. Tout ce qui est vieilli est bien meilleur. Dans mon temps, c'était comme sur l'image. On était vrais, fiers, forts, puis on avait le bon lieu de notre bord. Vois-tu le livre, là? C'est le Wendigo. Ouais, le Wendigo. Un guerrier qui devient un loup pour se venger de sa grosse peine. Et
There was a time when hate waged war. Our hunters could decimate the great wolves who had taken our children. Our warriors could snap the necks of the cowards who had reached out for our supplies. The deafening sound of rock and bone breaking was enough to satiate the hate, and the rivers of blood would express our remorse and apologies. Thus was balance maintained. Then came the Vikings. The legend of the Wendigo dates back to a time before what anyone but the tallest trees can remember. A time of great cold and great aspirations, when the ships came and spewed men in their fire cannons, plagues and spinelessness. Balance broke forever, the dead were piling up on our ancestral lands, too many bodies covered in moss, too much blood spilled on our stone, our bone-breaking hate did not suffice any longer. Okay. One day, One day, a young warrior who had lost everything, nieces, brothers, parents, and hope, fell to his knees in the middle of a small clearing, covered in the blood of his fiancée, killed after having crossed the path of some whiteys passing by. He had seen everything and called out the Great Spirit, called out to him with words that came so natural to him. Words that could only create a great river of blood and guts and a terrifying roar of screams. He called out to him for a force that no one had ever had before. He became Wendigo. The whiteys were decimated under the icy claws of the Wendigo. A great tide of blood even pushed a few ships back out to sea. But the Wendigo was not yet done with his vengeance. For as long as the heart of one of his fiancée's murderers still beat on Cree territory, he would prevail. The elders say that it was the force of the ancestors' return to nature that turned the young warrior. In this clearing where many ancestors had been buried in centuries past, clearing now covered in blood spilled unjustly in a time where too many bodies were being buried, the ancestors heard the cries of the young warrior. Only in a remarkable time like this could the Wendigo have been born. His vengeance satiated, the warrior became Wendigo, went to rest forever. His frozen heart melted and disappeared, much like the real snow came to spring. The storm had befallen the Cree landsfalls faded as well. There was much celebration, balance had been restored, but the whiteys came back too. White hatred is never satisfied by rock and bone turned to dust. They arrived by the hundreds, armed with guns and torches, burned down every village, raped every woman, smashed the head of every newborn, tortured every man that fell into their grips. Never before had unbalance been so deep for the Cree peoples, and ever since, it's been told that one should be satisfied with the rivers of blood brought by hatred, despite the wrongfulness done to them. Because remarkable hate comes at far too steep a price. The Wendigo was never invoked again, but in the hearts of the Cree people remained a fear that one day a young warrior would once again call out with remarkable hate. Because they know, through the wisdom brought by this legend, that the Wendigo would prevail, but that this victory would come at a great cost. The whiteys would come back, the whiteys would rule, no one would be spared.
Tu sens les pieds. Gomme-moi la belle rose de la tulipe qui se donne au yard sur le mercredi décembre. C'est-tu pas effrayant, cette histoire?
Toilets.
Touche pas à ça, l'enfant, tu pourrais te faire mal. passe l'envie de te marier, la Corriveau. Elle tuait tous ses maris, squick, les uns après les autres. Pas de pitié dans le mariage. Vois que t'as pas mieux à faire. C'est vrai, le jeune, que tu te promènes quasiment en bobette. Une bonne police, ça te fera pas de tort. Mais je vais te dire une chose, dans ton coin de pays comme par ici, on n'a rien sans rien. Et où, mon caribou? Si tu veux du linge chaud, parce que t'es habillé comme un gars de la ville, je dirais pas non à une bonne bouteille de caribou. Puis tu pigeras ce que tu voudras parmi mes guinées.
Okay. We need to find a bottle of that and then come back. Okay. So we need to find a small key now.
There, Carl had fed his mind, but had forgotten the harsh reality that his body also needed nourishment, especially in the dead of winter.